welcome to this RTV special. And today I'm Felicity Wheeler. I'm delighted to have Dr. Patrick Vickers with me from Mexico. And welcome, Patrick. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Are you going to talk about the Gerson therapy, this wonderful place that you have in northern Baja?
Yes.
Tell me all about it.
We have a clinic in Rosarito, Mexico, where we're specialized in something called the Gerson therapy. And we're reversing virtually every single degenerative disease, including terminal cancer. And we're doing that through the use of nutrition, detoxification, and very specific protocols that are known to destroy cancer cells and other degenerative diseases.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Because really we found that with chronic degenerative disease, the drugs are really not curing. In fact, they're causing a lot of side effects, aren't they?
Yeah.
So this is the natural way.
Yes, absolutely. Again, we're using the Gerson therapy. Dr. Max Gerson was a German medical doctor who between 1910 and 1959, when he died, he was reversing virtually every single disease. And the United States government knew it. They crushed him when they found out he was doing it. They absolutely destroyed him, took away his medical license, took away his membership from the New York State Medical Society. Nobel Peace Prize winner Dr. Albert Schweitzer called Gerson one of the greatest geniuses in medical history. And being from Britain, you well know that Prince Charles of Wales, he's one of the greatest advocates of the modern era behind the Gerson therapy, as he knows two people personally that we've cured of terminal advanced cancer. So yeah, I mean, these drugs today that we're using, they're dismal. I mean, they come from, ultimately, chemotherapy was derived from what? We know that it was derived from mustard gas from World War II. Once World War II ended, they didn't know what to do with mustard gas, so they decided they were going to start using it in the treatment of cancer. These drugs that we're using today are terribly toxic to the human body and are the most ridiculous, barbaric approach to treating disease that you could possibly impose on anyone.
Well, I watched my daughter die of cancer. You know, she started cancer on her 18th birthday. She was at London University and died within 2 years from the treatments.
Right.
So this is why I'm so interested. And then I got pancreatic cancer myself in 2003 and got well with the Gerson therapy. So
that's exactly right.
I love it. I do know it inside out, and I think it's wonderful. And I know you're doing some advanced protocols as well now, aren't you?
Yeah, so I mean, on top of the nutrition and the detoxification, there's other things you can do to enhance the results of those former two therapies. For example, in 1931, Otto Warburg, he won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for proving that cancer can't survive in highly oxygenated environments. So we're using three different forms of oxygen therapy. We're using hyperbaric oxygen, we're using hydrogen peroxide therapy, and ozone therapy. And now we have this wonderful thing that we've just added to the protocol called the Beamer mat. And the Beamer mat actually oxygenates tissues 35% greater than hyperbaric oxygen chambers. So in conjunction with the nutrition, when you add oxygen, it's one of the most potent protocols for cancer and any degenerative disease, really, anywhere in the world. And then we're using other things as well, hyperthermia. We know that cancer and viruses and bacteria, they can't survive above 107 degrees. That's why we typically spike fevers when we're sick, because the body kills off the virus or the bacteria, or in our case, the cancer, with higher temperatures. So we submerge people in a jacuzzi at 112 degrees, and we add hydrogen peroxide to help oxygenate tissues, and that's a potent protocol against the treatment of cancer.
And you use saunas as well?
We use saunas minimally, but now we're using a far infrared sauna, but particularly we have a special far infrared wand that actually goes directly over tumor sites. And the information, the science coming out now regarding far infrared treatment and the destruction of cancer, it's becoming crystal clear. So this far infrared wand, which is actually developed from NASA technology, that's created and made in Japan, it's going to be one of the greatest additions that we've made probably in the last 20 years.
Well, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Really exciting. So people can come and stay for 2 or 3 weeks, do they?
Yeah, the standard stay at our clinic is 3 weeks. We do require a minimum 2-week stay. We understand that sometimes finances can play a role in whether one stays for 2 or 3 weeks. So we do, the standard stay pretty much is 3 weeks, and we require a companion to come along, because that companion plays an absolutely vital role in learning the therapy while the patient is receiving all the therapy, and because the patient has to go home. This isn't a therapy where you come to our clinic for 3 weeks and you leave cured. To rebuild a human body that's been destroyed over 30, 40, 50 years, it takes time. And so this is a 2-year therapy. You come to our clinic for 3 weeks, you learn how to do the therapy, and then you go home and you continue the therapy for 2 years. And it typically takes 2 years to reverse an advanced terminal disease.
And Patrick, where can people find you? Can they find you on Facebook? You've got a website?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, Northern Baja Gerson Center, and Gerson is Gerson. So Northern Baja Gerson Center is our Facebook page. Our website is gersontreatment.com, gersontreatment.com. And then you can always reach me via email at info@gersontreatment.com. And our phone number in the United States is 715-299-5070. Any of those avenues you can reach us at.
I know a lot of people are contacting you from Facebook because I have a Facebook page as
Yeah.
well, and I see the wonderful recipes you put on there
Yes.
and the testimonies you put on.
I mean, weekly we're getting new testimonies coming in, and some of them shock me. You know, it's really incredible. There's people who walk into our clinic and we're just sitting there scratching our heads. Can we really help these people? And then we get contacted from them 8, 12, 2 years out, and they're completely cancer-free. And there's nothing more rewarding than that, obviously.
Because the body has to heal itself, doesn't it? It's the immune system, isn't it, that has to be restored.
Yeah, we've been taught, or we've been led to believe that we've got to try to kill the cancer. We've got to bombard the body with chemotherapy, radiation, or even in the natural realm. We've got to take this supplement. We've got to kill it with cannabis. We've got to do this. That's not the right strategies to cure cancer. Yeah, in the natural realm, there are natural products that can serve as adjuncts, but always it's the diet and the detoxification that ultimately plays the role in reversing advanced terminal disease, because it's that protocol of diet and detoxification that boosts and rallies the immune system. It's always the immune system that ultimately destroys cancer. You're never going to find the magic bullet natural product that's going to cure advanced terminal cancer. Even if you're hearing the millions of testimonials out there of somebody that took this product and it cured their cancer, that's very rare.
It's multifactorial, isn't it?
It is multifaceted.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now talk about the coffee enemas, because everyone's so intrigued about those. I do them, I still do them, and I find it the most wonderful way to purify the body. And I know you do it, although you're not actually ill with cancer.
Yeah, that's
but you
exactly
don't
right.
want to get cancer. So
That's exactly right. An ounce
Yeah.
of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I do a coffee enema every single day. And people say, well, isn't that a little bit extreme? I'm like, well, if I was living in 1900, that wouldn't be so extreme. Everything was clean and pure back then. But we live in an extreme society today. We're being destroyed from every direction that we turn today, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. So the coffee enema, there is nothing more powerful to detoxify the human body. Your liver produces an enzyme. It's called glutathione transferase. It's the most potent detoxifying enzyme in the human body. Well, the coffee enema has been proven to increase the production of glutathione transferase by 600 to 700% greater than normal. And that's because of the massive amounts of palmitic acid that are in properly roasted organic coffee. And glutathione transferase, the foundations of it is palmitic acid. So the amount of palmitic acid in the coffee increases that production by 600 to 700% greater than normal. Now, it needs to be stated that you just can't start doing coffee enemas, because when you stimulate the glutathione transferase cycle, you require massive amounts of nutrients. And cancer patients coming to us, they're already depleted. So if they do coffee enemas without bombarding the body with pure organic nutrition, which our patients are getting 20 pounds a day, they're going to deplete their body even more over time. Coffee enemas can only be done in conjunction with a massive juicing regimen.
So how many coffee enemas would you do to how many juices?
That's a good question. We say that the ratio of juices per coffee enema is 3 to 4 juices for every coffee enema. That will rebuild the body's nutritional status and prevent any depletion of nutrition through the use of coffee enemas.
So really it's a full-time protocol, isn't it?
It's a full-time protocol.
Yes.
If you have terminal cancer, the next 2 years of your life are going to be on hold. You can't work, you really can't exercise, because we're trying to create energy on a cellular level so that the immune system can rally an immune response. If you go out and exercise on the Gerson therapy with terminal cancer, you're not going to survive. We see it all the time. Now, if you have a lower grade cancer, stage 1, maybe you can get away with some exercise. But as a terminal cancer patient, if you exercise, go out and run, 1, 2, 3 miles a day, go out and play tennis for a couple hours a day, you're not going to heal. We see it consistently.
Well, I was so ill because I had pancreatic cancer, so there was no way I was going to exercise.
Yeah.
But I know people have said, oh, you know, go out and exercise. I think that's because they're trying to tell people to oxygenate the body. But you see, you have better ways of oxygenating the body.
Right. The theory is correct. You have to oxygenate tissues, as we mentioned, in order to heal cancer. But you have to find other ways to do that apart from going out and exercising. And the primary way of oxygenating tissues is through alkalinizing the body.
Right.
When a body is acidic, the definition of acidity really is improper utilization of oxygen, because you have too much of a buildup of hydrogen in the body, pH, potential hydrogen, right? So acidity by definition is the buildup of hydrogen. When you have the buildup of hydrogen in the body through diet and stress, as oxygen approaches the cell, it literally gets repelled away. So it's a matter of biophysics. The charges at the level of the cell won't accept oxygen. But suddenly, when you alkalinize the body and you neutralize those positively charged hydrogen ions, suddenly all the cells can start to literally accept oxygen. It literally draws oxygen into the cell because now the charge has been changed. So alkalinizing the body is the most potent way to oxygenate tissues. And then when you do oxygen therapies on top of that, you just enhance the effect.
Absolutely. So how many hours a day would people do the oxygen?
Well, they'll spend about 45 minutes in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Right.
They'll spend 10 to 15 minutes before that on a beamer mat, which properly prepares the body for the oxygenation of the hyperbaric oxygen. And then they'll spend time in a sauna, not a sauna, a jacuzzi, where we've added pure hydrogen peroxide to the jacuzzi, and that will also oxygenate their tissues.
Okay, so people could put that in their bath at home, could they?
Absolutely.
That would be quite healthy.
That's right.
So 35 degree.
35% hydrogen
yes.
peroxide. You would
Right.
put 2 cups in a bath, try to get that bath up to 108, 109, 110
Right.
degrees, stick that hydrogen peroxide in there. That's a potent protocol for destroying cancer and other degenerative diseases as well. Now, you and I know we have a little ozonator machine. You and I both have
Yeah.
the same machine. And we ozonate water with that, and we can drink ozonated water. That's another way of oxygenating tissues, because you can't buy a $12,000, $13,000 hyperbaric oxygen chamber for your home.
Yes, I use the ozonator all the time. I think
Yeah.
it's really wonderful. It's just bubbles, you know, this water bubbles up,
Yeah.
and you drink it immediately,
That's right.
obviously. You have to drink it within, what, 15 minutes, certainly.
Oh yeah,
probably.
within 15 minutes the oxygen will
Yeah.
dissipate. So
Yes.
you want to drink that as soon as you've bubbled the ozone in.
Yes. So it's really important to do all these things. It's putting it all together. So when people come to you, really, it's an education, isn't it?
Yeah, they come to us for 3 weeks, and really that 3 weeks is specifically to learn the strategies that you need to go back home and do the Gerson therapy. Because the strategies for an advanced cancer patient are highly, highly specific. I mean, there's things in the diet that must be eliminated that for you and I who are healthy are actually beneficial. But in a cancer patient, they might not be beneficial. For example, and this is just one of many, many examples, avocados. Yeah. If our advanced terminal cancer patients eat avocados on a regular basis, there's a strong chance that they're not going to heal. And the reason why is because avocados are very high in saturated fats. What are fats saturated with? Hydrogen. Okay, so that's going to work against their body's ability to oxygenate tissues. So when you come to our clinic, you're learning very, very highly specific strategies that really only Dr. Gerson was able to decipher over 50 years of clinical experimentation. It's one of the most incredibly specific protocols available today.
So when people have the meals, you say they have 3 meals as well.
Right.
What sort of food do they have on those meals as well as the juices?
Well, believe it or not, potatoes are a staple.
Okay.
Potatoes are an absolute staple. You know, people are fearful today of the potato. Oh, it's too high in carbs. The potato culture survived on the potato alone. It's a powerhouse-packed nutritional food. It's loaded with protein, it's loaded with vitamins and minerals, it's loaded with highly available carbohydrates. So potatoes are a staple on our therapy. And any vegetable or fruit that you can conjure up, we use as part of our meals.
But the potatoes you would bake. You certainly wouldn't fry them, would you?
Oh, of course not.
No.
In fact, oils, if you're an advanced cancer patient, you do not want to eat or cook with oils. The only oil we allow on our therapy is raw flax oil. We never cook with oils. It's one of the most highly destructive things you can do to the human body is cook with oils. We use just raw flax oil, and you can't have more than 2 tablespoons a day. Tumors love fat. They love fat, they'll use it to grow, and so you must minimize the amount of fat in the diet. So our patients get 2 tablespoons of raw organic flax oil. And you would certainly never fry a potato. You either bake it, you steam it.
And that's the basis of the British diet, you know, the chips, the fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
My goodness me, yes.
Yeah, and that's why cancer is so prevalent today.
Yeah.
All of these partially hydrogenated oils, all of the cooking with oils, amongst other things as we mentioned earlier. But yeah, oils can be very, very destructive to the human body.
Everything is so contaminated, isn't it? The fish are contaminated now from the rivers and the pollution.
Yeah, that's right. I never touch anything. I never eat anything from our lakes or our oceans anymore. The scientists have already told us if you eat 2 or 3 fish a year now, you've exceeded your allowable mercury levels for your body for the year.
And what are your views on vaccinations?
Well, I mean, I have a child. He's not vaccinated. We know how they prepare vaccines. First, they run it through the tissue of an animal to weaken it. And then once they've weakened the virus or whatever they're vaccinating with, they have to stabilize it. How do they stabilize it? They stabilize it with mercury. They stabilize it with formaldehyde, which is what you use to preserve dead flesh, and a bunch of other chemicals that they use. Well, we know that mercury and formaldehyde are extremely toxic to the central nervous system. A baby at 3, 6, and 9 months doesn't even have a fully functioning central nervous system. It's not till 2.5 years of age that they have a fully functioning nervous system. Take Japan, for example. Japan had a severe crisis of sudden infant death syndrome caused by vaccinations. So what did Japan do? They made it mandatory that they will not vaccinate children until 2.5 years of age. SIDS disappeared.
Wow.
Why? Because at that point, the immune system in the central nervous system has already been formed. Okay? So probably the effects of the vaccinations are less toxic than when you give it to a 3, 6, and 9-month-old child, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because when you give a vaccination, what are you trying to do? You're trying to stimulate an immune response. Well, wouldn't you want to stimulate the most maximum immune response when the immune system is fully developed at 2.5 years of age? Why would you do it at 3, 6, and 9 months? It makes absolutely no sense. And that's why it's destroying these children's lives. Autism, sudden infant death syndrome, childhood diabetes, epilepsy, that's all vaccinations.
And why are the doctors not warning their patients and stopping doing the vaccinations?
Well, because the doctors are nothing but glorified drug pushers, unfortunately. From the day they enter school, from the day they leave, they're programmed by the pharmaceutical and the medical industry. I'm a chiropractor. I study for the first 2 years the same exact curriculum as a medical doctor does for the first 2 years. Sciences, anatomy, and then the last 2 years of our education, we study natural therapies, they study drugs and surgery, because that's who they're being funded by. They're being funded by the pharmaceutical and medical industry and the governments of the world. So they're not going to be privy to the information that we're privy to. For example, the woman who's the world's leading authority against vaccinations is Verna Schreiber. How did she become the world's leading authority? Well, her husband developed the fetal respiratory monitor. It's what they have in hospitals to diagnose respiratory conditions or to monitor the respiration of a baby. Well, while he was developing the fetal respiratory monitor, they discovered that when they gave vaccinations to the children, their respiration plummeted.
Wow.
And that's how his wife became the world's leading authority against vaccinations. The evidence is clear. You can throw propaganda at it as much as you want, but the science is indisputable.
That's absolutely right. But it takes a brave man to come out and say all this. And, you know, our young people go in to become doctors and nurses. They're told this is the way we do it, and if you don't do it that way, you're out.
That's right.
So it takes these courageous doctors who I have on my Get Well, Stay Well programs who actually are coming out and telling the truth.
Yeah, and I have the utmost respect for medical doctors who can come out of that system and take on natural therapy. Because from literally the day they enter school in the United States at least, they're given a book called Quackery in America. From the moment they walk in, they're programmed to believe that what we do is voodoo and complete, folk medicine, right? And so who do you think is in that book? Quackery in America. We are. The Gerson therapy. When we have a storied history of reversing advanced terminal disease. It's a tragedy.
It is indeed. Now I hear you're going to start something in Indonesia for the Asian people.
Yeah, that's really exciting because unlike in the United States or in Europe, we're going to have complete unadulterated access to the media in Indonesia. And in December, we're going to be opening up a large clinic in Surabaya, Indonesia. So they're going to bring over 8 people to train at my facility in Mexico. And then in December, we're going to send them back over with a couple of my staff and myself. And we're going to start in Southeast Asia. That's really exciting.
And is it a very beautiful place? Is it a very pure place?
Well, it's an upscale area of Surabaya. That's where we're going to start. But the ultimate facility that we're creating, that we're going to create in the future there, is actually on an old Dutch plantation at the base of a volcano. And right now it serves as the Indonesian government's largest exporter of red tea, citrus, and something called Luca coffee, which we probably don't want to go into right now.
I think I know about Luca coffee. Okay, that's interesting. But the great thing about it is the coffee enemas, because that is the basis of it. I think people have got to start eliminating these terrible toxins out of the body. And you just feel wonderful when you've done the coffee enema. And of course, as a nurse, I was trained to do this. And when I was actually diagnosed and I heard about the Gerson therapy, I thought, okay, that makes total sense. Because it does actually make total sense to eliminate all the rubbish from the body.
It's incredibly powerful. The testimonies we have from the Gerson therapy are just absolutely remarkable.
And he wrote a wonderful book, didn't he, as well?
Dr. Gerson wrote a book right before he died. It's called The Cancer Therapy, A Result of 50 Cases. And it was his 50 most terminal cases that he'd ever cured. And they're all absolutely shocking. All sent home to die, no chance at life. All 50 survived.
I think one of the most interesting things is that he didn't approve of salt, because most people have been eating salt and thinking we need salt to live, but you get enough salt actually in the vegetables that you're juicing, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Look, the body's obligatory need for sodium is 230 milligrams per day. Yep. That's the amount you need to maintain optimal health. That's less than a quarter of a teaspoon of sodium. So salt, we're potassium animals by nature. If you analyze true organic soil, and what does the Bible say about our bodies? We come from the earth. And so our diets need to reflect that. Well, if you analyze true organic soil, the potassium to sodium ratios, they're very large, from anywhere from 1,000 potassium down to 1 molecule of sodium. We're potassium animals by nature.
Absolutely. So the great thing is to come off the meat, the dairy. If you can just put it all together just for people in the last few minutes that we have, because we're nearly out of time. So you'd come off meat and dairy, you'd come off processed foods.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, if you look at the human digestive tract is 75% of the immune system. If you look at the human digestive tract, it's clearly consistent with an herbivoric creature. If you look at the intestinal tract of a carnivore, it's only like 2 to 3 feet long. Ours is 75 feet long. It's designed just like an herbivoric creature's. Meat, dairy, eggs, these things are absolutely destroying our health. Salt, all these processed foods that have been depleted of the nutrition. When they're depleted of the nutrition, when you eat it, your body has to rob its nutrient reserve, which is bone and bone marrow, in order to properly utilize that food that you're eating that's been stripped of all its vital nutrients. So these things that we're eating today, we've got to stop the madness. We've got to go back to a pure organic diet, tons of greens. Our bodies were designed to eat tons of greens. That's how we survive. And then the fruits and the vegetables on top of that, and that's what maintains a healthy diet. Genesis 1:29 couldn't be more crystal clear.
Absolutely, that's the basis of my ministry.
Everything.
And that's what got me well. So it's, the genetically modified foods that are coming in now are just so dangerous, aren't they? And I think they're being banned in a lot of places in the world.
Well, they're not being banned yet in the United States. As we know, Monsanto, the largest producer of GMO products, right? They're alive and well in the United States, and they're doing everything humanly possible to try to destroy the natural food and supplement industry. But yes, GMO foods, we know the destruction it does to the digestive tract.
Yeah, it's so important for the education. It's education, not medication, isn't it?
That's
Absolutely.
right. Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful facility you have in Mexico to be teaching people.
One of the finest in the world.
Yeah, so
Our
just
place is
remind
stunning.
people of the name again.
Yes, it's Northern Baja Gerson Center,
Right.
and our website is gersontreatment.com.
Wow, well, it's a great education. Even reading the website, people can learn so much.
Yeah.
Because you're very generous, and I know you give people a wonderful £2,000 off the cost.
Yeah, if they're coming from the UK or they're coming from other places around the world.
So
Yes.
bless you, Patrick. Thank you for being with us. It's been
Thank
a
you.
real joy, so
Thank
people
you.
can get well and stay well.
Thank you.
Bless you.